It's Wednesday, February 12th, and time for your Barbados Today Morning News Update. Heartbreaking. That's how members of the public are describing the plight of a homeless and disabled man identified as Leinster Bino, who has been dragging himself along the Oystins Christchurch area in recent days, and they are calling on authorities to intervene. Those in the area say they have tried to get help for Bino, who was involved in an accident, even going as far as to get the police involved, but he returned to the area after being taken to the hospital. When our Barbados Today team visited Oystins and greeted Bino, he admitted that he was in need of assistance. Human and social justice advocate Reverend Buddy Laria also appealed for help on his behalf, while the Barbados Alliance to End Homelessness said it would investigate the matter. Parents of students at Vauxhall Primary School will take their charges to school this morning, but won't allow them on the premises. The stance comes amid what they say are serious environmental issues at the Christchurch institution, which they want urgently addressed. President of the school's Parent-Teacher Association, Adrian Husband, said the parents took the decision yesterday during an emergency meeting on the situation.
Right now, these parents that can't come into the PTA meeting, they're disturbed, they're vexed because they do a tour through the school today, the 11th of February, and they wasn't really satisfied with what they saw. So my suggestion is that I am asking the government of Barbados to see Vauxhall School as one of those schools that bring out scholars in the past and still continue to bring out minor scholars now due to the lack of attention. So I am asking you all for your most prompt response and get the school deal with.
Husband said the PTA has sent a letter to the Ministry of Education outlining their concerns, but have yet to receive a response. In other news, the St. Lucie District Hospital has been earmarked as a quarantine center as health officials continue to monitor the novel coronavirus. Health and Wellness Minister Lieutenant Colonel Jeffrey Bostic made the disclosure yesterday as he petitioned Parliament for over $1.1 million for the purpose of remedial work at that site and another location in order to boost the country's capacity to mandatory quarantine persons. The minister, however, made it clear that the quarantine center was not for housing persons who are sick or have symptoms of the virus.
That property has been earmarked and was utilized, although I'm not sure if we actually had to use it before, as a quarantine center during the time of SARS and other things of that nature. And so the funds that we are seeking to obtain here today really are required to have those facilities retrofitted and make them as comfortable as possible as a quarantine station in the case of St. Lucie. And this is very, very important because remember, and I repeat, these are not sick persons. These are not persons who have presented with symptoms. These are persons based on their travel history and the possibility that they might have interacted with other persons. Out of the abundance of caution, we want to bring them in for observation in a controlled environment away from their homes, but in a facility that offers enough comfort that they would not feel as though they're being treated in any demeaning manner.
Minister Bostic revealed that health officials had been monitoring some 46 persons over the last few weeks, but that number had reduced to 19. But he says if in the unlikely event anyone presents with symptoms of the virus, whether at home, ports of entry, or the quarantine station, then they will be immediately moved to the QEH's Infections Control Center at Enmore.
And those persons will be placed into that environment where they can be monitored, looked after in a much better way, and if necessary, then those persons can have tests can be done and sent to the next part of this plan, which is to the Best dos Santos laboratory, public health laboratory, for testing, because that Best Dos Santos laboratory has the equipment that is required in order to do this test, and it is one of very few in the region. And as I speak, we have a consultant virologist from PAHO who's been sent here to commence training and testing for our personnel at the lab. Started yesterday, and the results have been very successful so far. Things are going very well. And I believe in short order, I'm absolutely certain in my mind that that lab would be ready in coming days to be able to perform testing for the new coronavirus.
Meantime, the Caribbean Development Bank is warning against any form of complacency when it comes to the deadly and infectious virus. CDB President Dr. Warren Smith says the virus can have a negative impact on the region's tourism and trade sectors.
Tourism is a big money earner for many Caribbean countries. And increasingly, China is becoming a market for exports of goods and services from some Caribbean countries. So to the extent that that coronavirus issue is protracted, I think we could pretty much expect that there might be negative fallout. In fact, one of the big fears is that it can spread across the world to some of the source markets for our tourism arrivals. And similarly, our ability to export into countries in the Far East in particular could be compromised by this type of development. The good news is, I was just hearing this morning that the expectation is that it could be, the persistence of this virus could be limited as we move out of the winter season and going to the warmer climate.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
It's Festive Friday at the Bridgetown Night Market at Pelican Craft Center. Kick off the weekend this Friday from 4 p.m. to midnight with loads of food, drinks, and entertainment. Get ready for Crop Over with the Rhythm Roots Street Parade. Party like it's Kadooman Day on the street around Pelican Village with costume reveler, music, and more. It's Festive Friday. It's Festive Friday at the Bridgetown Night Market at Pelican Village Center from 4 p.m. to midnight. Admission free.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To news from our regional neighbors now, it has cost the government of the Bahamas some $80,000 to monitor persons coming from China following the outbreak of the coronavirus. Word of this from Health Minister Dwayne Sands. Officials are currently monitoring 13 persons in the country.
We think it's been between $75,000 and $85,000 so far. That's what the total process has been thus far when you include accommodations, food, security, transportation, etc. Now that does not include the cost of the personal protective equipment, which would have been a part of our emergency supplies anyway. We expect that number to rise, but as of today, a back of the napkin or back of the envelope estimate around $80,000.
The minister's comments come as 13 individuals are now under quarantine by the Ministry of Health.
Different people start their quarantine at different times and they will end it at certain times. So thus far there remains no suspected or actual cases of novel coronavirus in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas as of today. We have had none. We pray that we don't get any.
And finally, there is a warning that the Ebola virus must not be forgotten as the world focuses on the coronavirus. It's coming from Director General of the World Health Organization, Dr. Tedros Ghebreyesus, who says the world needs to continue to fund the Ebola response.
We're very encouraged by the current trend. There have only been 3 cases in the past week, and no cases in the past 3 days. But until we have no cases for 42 days, it's not over. As you know, any single case could reignite the epidemic, and the security situation in Eastern DRC remains extremely fragile. So we take the progress on Ebola with caution, although it's a big success. Regardless of their recommendation or the ISIS recommendation, the world needs to continue to fund the Ebola response. Taking our foot off the accelerator now could be a fatal mistake.
That's news, but for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.